Hello everyone in Europe. I am Bilal Yılmaz, founder of Pluralist European movement. We have talked, we did the first European talks in my first video, and this is the second program of European talks. I hope everybody is doing well in Europe. Therefore, I send my greetings to everyone in Europe. I'm doing this program in South Paris, and everyone in Europe, from Berlin to Lisbon, from Eastern Europe to Spain, Madrid, Barcelona, Granada, from London to Ankara, from Manchester to Diyarbakır. Everybody, I hope doing well, and I send my greetings to all the Europeans. Therefore, we have in my first video we did I talk about why we should re-establish Europe, and today we are going some important developments that has been occurred in the continent. One of the important developments that the European Council, the ministers and the management of the European Council, the administration of the European Council has been determined, which means that we all know right now the name of all the ministers of the European Union. This is after the May election in 2019. This is an important step, so we have an important board that we are going to follow what they are doing, that we are going to evaluate what they are doing. This is the first important development in the last months, in the recent months of in Europe. So we have a lot of topics in Europe, which is a huge continent. Therefore, we will be we should be in a good speed in Europe, I think, because it's a huge continent, and every country has their issues to do. Therefore, we have we take Europe in our observation, but at the same time, we will not be neither so fast, neither so slow. So we should be in a good speed. Therefore, I'm not going to discuss all the developments in Europe in this program, in these programs of European talks. But I want to give my perspective and the perspective of my movement, Pluralist Europe. I want to give this perspective to all Europeans, so that we can open and form a discussion topic. And I think, being the founder of Pluralist European movement, I think we need pluralist steps in Europe, because Europe there has been many nationalities in Europe, and we need pluralist steps in Europe. And I sometimes follow and see the pluralist steps in Europe in social media, in media, and I appreciate them and I support them wherever they are. I support them in the continent because I think that the European Union has a good base, has good essentials. The essentials are okay in the European Union, I think. Even the last 4 years, even the discussions of, in England, the England and European Union negotiations, the that this showed that us that the European Union has good essentials, has a good base. So we should build on this pluralist steps. So what we are going to do on the roof, in the middle of the issues of the European Union. So I want and I think that we should build pluralist steps on this good base of the European Union. So I'm going to talk about the pluralist steps that I saw in the recent months in Europe. For example, one of them is the discussion of a European way of life. We talked about a topic, an issue, that the European way of life. I think we need to determine a European identity, and no matter from which countries we are, we should impress our European identities. The European identity is very important. That's why I think that we should build on this base, pluralist steps. So one of them is European identity, and the discussion of the opinion of European way of life is important. In the next years, in the coming future, we are going to build a European identity, and we are going to form a European way of life, which will take time, but which will be fun as well. One of the pluralist steps is that the European way of life, it's important, which is a Europe, which is a multicultural, multi-language, linguistic, multinational continent geography. Therefore, I think we should make this fun, and we should benefit this from richness in Europe, and we are going to form a European identity, and the European way of life, the opening of European way of life is important. One of the pluralist steps is that I saw in media, in social media, and one of them is also important. For example, I saw we shouldn't be hesitating to discuss about the religion, because especially in the last 10 years, the religion has very important, sociological matter that touches our lives in Europe. Therefore, being a Müslüman, being a European Müslüman, we shouldn't be hesitating talking about the religion. Therefore, all the pluralist steps in this sociological matter is important, and one of them I saw, for example, in Amsterdam. The praying call of the Muslims will be recited in one mosque of Amsterdam. It is important. This is also another pluralist steps that I saw in the European news. And therefore, I'm going to, as I told, what we are going to do from the roof, from the upper of the basement. What we are going to, because we are going to build a Europe, we are going to build a new Europe, reestablish a new Europe. Therefore, what we are going to do, what will be our propositions for this important projection. My proposition is that, for example, in Europe, all countries of the European Union, can give their citizens, can give the European citizens the European passport. Therefore, we are going to do something important for European identity and for European thoughts, and this will be an important step for a pluralist Europe, giving each citizen in Europe European passport. This will put aside too many discussions that we don't need. Therefore, one of my proposition is this. I'm going to talk about, and in all platforms, that giving each Europeans European passport will be an important step in Europe. And being the European citizens, what we are going to do, we have daily works, and maybe all of us are not too much interested in the politics, but as much as possible we follow the developments. First of all, what we are doing for Europe, and what the authorities around us, which means the local authorities, our neighborhood, what they are doing, and the governmental authorities, what they are doing, and the authorities of the European Union, what they are doing. These are all important establishments, authorities that we should follow, we should evaluate, we should question sometime, and we should take our results in the platforms that everybody can see, that everybody can hear. What are the authorities are doing and what we are doing. This will be also an important pluralist step in Europe. So therefore we are going to watch, I am going to watch, and my movement are watching all the developments, all the important developments in Europe. And we also, being the citizens, we also should follow what, first of all, what we are doing, and secondly, what the authorities, the local authorities, governmental authorities, and the authorities of the European Union, what they are doing. We should follow them. Not like a detective, but we should follow them. And as I say, we are going to find the truth by talking, by the discussions, you know. For example, last week I questioned that, you know, this is my critical point for the European Union. For example, we are discussing, we are talking about the England and the European Union negotiations in the last 4 years. We you know, this was a waste of time, for my opinion, for my perspective. But we are watching this, we are talking about this, but a paradoxical development that Euro 2020, the games of the soccer games of Euro 2020 will be played, the semi-finals and the finals will be played in London. So I am questioning about it. What is the relevance of this? What are, therefore, in England, they are still, the authorities, they are still are not decisive on what they are doing, because the semi-finals and the finals will be played in London, and on the other hand, we are talking about the negotiations between England and European Union for 4 years. This was a waste of time, and I'm going to criticize it. I criticize this, and I'm going to criticize this. And we, as I said, we should be a good speed, not very slow, not very fast, but we should be in a good speed. And we are going to question all the, you know, all the maybe persons, authorities, you know, communities that are making slow the European Union. We should be in a good speed. For example, this is my questioning. Why is like that? What are the England government? What is the England government doing? On one hand, finals of the football games will be played in London. On the other hand, we are discussing, you know, the negotiations between European Union and England. So this is, everybody can give me right, I hope. This is a waste of time. This 4 year a waste of time, and more importantly, because of this waste of time, because of attracting our attention to other issues, other topics in Europe, we couldn't watch the developments in other countries. Therefore, we are going to watch closely these countries in Europe, because the democratic development is very important, and all the all our daily lives and working lives are very connected to this democratic evolution and developments in Europe. For example, we are going to follow the first countries that I remind. We are going to follow these countries. For example, one of them, Turkey, because in Turkey there is a, as I said in my Turkish writings, as I said, there is a crime against humanity, and but the European Union didn't give the necessary reaction to this. They not a fortunate thing, but the European Union couldn't pass the exam. The government of the European Union couldn't pass the exam on this, on this development, because there is a crime in Turkey. If you watch Turkey, you should be knowing that. But the government of the European Union, the Europe, which has a two P5 country, they and all the continent couldn't give the right and timely reactions. Therefore, we are going to watch first of all Turkey, which is a very important country geographically for Europe and for the world, for the future developments of the Europe as well. I'm not going to enter the heavy discussions at the moment, but for example, we are discussing about the forming of a European army, and what will we do about this. But at the moment, let's not talk about this, because we have really at the beginning of the re-establishing of Europe. But we are going to watch first of all one of the countries that we are going to watch Turkey in this matter. And for example, Poland is another country that we are going to follow. The democratic perception of Poland is important for all the time, for Europe, and we are in the recent years. Actually, it didn't give us the hopeful developments about the democratic developments. Therefore, we are going to follow another country, Poland, and one of them is Hungary. Hungary is also very reactive, but not in a positive way, in the guest politics, refugees politics. Therefore, from commencing from the point of Hungary, we are going to have an opinion of the refugee policy of the European Union. Millions of people in this in the recent years came to Europe, and we still have too many things to do for guest politics, for the refugees politics of the European Union, and Hungary gives us this sign. Another country is also the country where I am, France. France also a country that we are going to follow, because it's the second country of the European Union, and we need more interest to European Union in France in this perspective. Especially, as I said, the refugee politics, asylum politics in France should be watched, should be followed. For example, but we also saw some good steps in this refugee politics. For example, in 5 countries of the European Union signed an agreement about the politics to be implemented for the refugees that will be coming from the Mediterranean. As far as I remember, Malta, Italy, France, Germany, and Finland, as far as I remember. This is also an important step after years of turmoil in the refugees politics of the European Union. Therefore, we are going to build and we are going to correct the things in Europe as the Pluralist European movement. We are going to take these issues in front of you, and we are going to discuss all these topics all together. So this will be the end of our European talks for today. Therefore, see you in the next program of European talks. Take care of yourselves.